Hi everyone, Becky Hetherington here. I'm going to show you how I colour Tilda with Distress inks. I will get round to colouring the full image in, but just to make it easy I'm going to break it down into little sections. Normally when I colour I put my first layer on everything first and then come back and do the second layer, but just for this purpose I'm going to just show you how I colour skin. It took me a lot of finding, but I like this paper, the Fabriano Classico hot press pad. You can get different size sheets, I just like this because it fits in my drawer. And because we're colouring with watercolours, we need to have the solvent ink pad. I like the Stays On Jet Black one, but there are other ones and I will show you how to colour no lines, the different one later. But for now, I'm going to be colouring Dandelion Tilda from the latest collection with my inks. The colours I use for ink, for skin: a Tattered Rose, Vintage Photo and Walnut Stain. I start off by putting quite a washy layer of Tattered Rose down. You start with the places of what's going to be darkest anyway and then slowly work out from there. I just have my inks on a little, literally just got them on a little stamping block underneath here for you, and I've got an old tatty tea towel at the side just so you can see where my hands are going. So start off, just put it down where you're going to start with having it darker. So it's quite washy, you don't really see that much colour at this stage. And if you go over the hair it doesn't matter because this is only the first level and you're going to be doing the hair later anyway. So just pick small bits up. So you want your brush not wet so that you can wring it out, but you want it quite wet so that you can get quite a washed out layer put down on it. And for the purpose of this image I'm just going to assume that the light's coming in from straight in front of her. Under her chin. Just got a bit of the neck. It really doesn't take a lot of ink, you want just the tiniest amount on your brush. When I first started trying to colour with inks I was putting far too much on and it really is hard to control and get the look you're after if there's too much. Best to put lots of little layers on and build your colours up and have too much because you just will not be able to get it washed out. I'm going to go under her knees a bit. The toes are just poking out there. Another thing I do as well before I get going, I get quite a damp patch on the tea towel as well, because sometimes that is just enough to get your brush that bit damper just to get you going again. The other hand. Okay, this is Tattered Rose. This is just my personal preference of doing it. If you find a different way of doing it, so it looks like you're colouring, that's fine. Somebody once told me that they could tell it was my card before they looked at the name, and I was quite touched by that. Right, I've got the first layer down. You see how the centre bit's a bit lighter than the outside? And outside there's sort of the look that you're going for. So then, you're going in the shadows, you want a tiny bit of Vintage Photo. See, I've pulled it a bit out and got a tiny bit on my brush. Going in corners on a damp bit of my tea towel. So you're just doing a small bit at a time. And once again, it doesn't matter that you're going over the hairline because you're going to come in and do the hair in a bit anyway. Just pull some of the already pulled off bit of your Vintage Photo. Because we're having the light source come from the front, the shadows are going to be around the edges, the centre of her face is going to be much lighter where the light's hitting it. more up in a hairline. This is the size brush I like using. I know some ladies use a much finer brush, but I like a size 3 brush, round tip. It really is just suck it and see and see what you like. I went through lots of paper and brushes till I found ones that I did like, but once you get there, you can have many happy hours that colouring. I'm going for the shadows again. Sometimes it helps if you sit back and look for me, because once I've sat back I can see that down this side needs a bit more shading. So once again, got the tiniest amount on my brush. Give it a rinse off, quick dry, pick some more up. The knees stick out a bit, you want the shadows to try and come underneath the knees. There are already shadow marks put on there for you. Yeah, the hot press paper works fine for the ink pads and the actual distress markers from the dropper bottles, but I do find with the markers it soaks in before you get time to do what you want to do with it. So for that I used the cold press, which has quite a bit of texture to it, but this Fabriano for a watercolour paper is actually quite white, which is nice. But it's each their own. Some people prefer the hot press for the markers as well. Back onto Tattered Rose to go over to flesh tone it out a bit because it goes a bit orange with the vintage photo. This time we put a tiny bit more on and we blend in a bit as we go. See how I'm still blending with the vintage photo. Blending in, all the while keeping that central bit a bit lighter. It's always easier as well to turn your paper than to try and put your arm in all the different positions that you need to get all the different areas done. There we are. And then get the thick off on your bit of rag. Hands. So always working from the place where you want your darker shadow so you can come out towards your highlights. More Tattered Rose. Sorry. There we are, there's the 3 layers. Most colours, when everything's done, it has 3 layers on. with the skin, I do actually add a 4th layer. I do like to come back and do this quite late on to give it quite a bit of time to dry, but as I'm just doing the skin, I'll go in with it now. The 3rd colour I use is Walnut Stain, using the same principle as what I did with the vintage photo. Just touch your brush to it and get the thick off. You don't need a lot of this. And once again, what we're doing with this is we're just highlighting the shadows a bit more. So get the thick off the colour off your brush and give it a good little rub in your damp bit. There. There you're getting your nice shadow. Just pick some of your bit that you've already thinned out on the block. So when you look from a distance, you can see that shadow there just needs a little bit more under her hair. There we are. I always advise to keep sitting up and having a little look, because when you get on top of things you don't actually see what it looks like properly. And the neck, you're going to want the darker bit there, even though the light's coming on from the front, because her head's inclined to the side, that bit's going to be slightly darker, and right underneath her chin as well. Yeah. Once you're going to come to her hands, the bottom one is cast slightly in shadow from the top one. And once again, this is Walnut Stain, which you really don't need a lot because it's a really dark colour, this. Just need the dandelions a bit. You see, once I'm looking there, I need a bit more shading at that area. That's in the grass. Needs a bit darker. Just, even though we didn't put much vintage photo of any up here, just put a bit of Walnut Stain just to give it the shadows of her dresses. And there we are. There's Tilda's skin. Keep an eye on the channel. I know there's other people doing lovely tutorials too, but I will be back with the hair at some point. Thank you. Bye.